Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, sir. All right, of course, staying with this Fox News alert, where do we go from here? Let's bring in former FBI Special Agent and Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. And Jonathan, you are extremely well sourced when it comes to the FBI. I know you have a lot of contacts still in the Bureau. Are you hearing anything from your sources that is different than what we're reporting, in addition to what we're reporting, or are you getting the same information that the rest of us are?
Well, I will tell you this, the information flow in the Bureau is much more closely held now than it used to be. I mean, I used to be able to call sources and get some information, and now I'm not getting that. But it may be just because this is going so quickly. And so most of the conversations I've had with guys that I know, it's been us sitting around kind of thinking, whitewashing it to see what we think about it. And so I commend the FBI on that. I also commend them for the way they poured their resources into this. Typically the Bureau is not a responsive type of agency. They are an agency that as information comes in, they investigate it broadly. So they go, and then specifically. And so to see them reacting, I think is a new step for the Bureau, where this is happening very quickly. They've done it before, but I think the Bureau is good at this. I just don't think they do it enough.
The FBI's elite hostage rescue team is in Tucson right now. Can you tell us a little bit about the rescue team, what they're capable of? And also a second part to that question is that I thought it was notable that they never traveled to Rio Rico. They stayed in Tucson. So could that be an indication of where they believe Nancy Guthrie is right now?
Well, so first of all, the hostage rescue team is a Tier 1 asset, similar to the law enforcement version of Development Group in the Navy, or the Delta Force, as they're known to most people in the Army. They are the equivalent of the Joint Special Operations Command, but in law enforcement. So they had the ability to be anywhere in the United States within a couple hours. And they are basically a direct action type of unit that is like the ultimate SWAT team. So what's interesting is when you call out HRT, typically I would say that also involves a certain type of threat or imminent possibility. So they have to be there, and they are setting up to do things and deal with stuff that would be beyond what would normally be the call of law enforcement. So, and they're very diligent. They have a lot of assets at play, as Tier 1 assets do. So I think them being there shows me that they do have some leads. Otherwise, you would just use regular SWAT. But the fact that HRT is there tells me that they probably have a lot of leads. And like I said before, the Bureau is pouring a lot into this that you wouldn't typically see in other places because it's a high-profile, fast-moving case.
So, Jonathan, the question now becomes, what happens when the sun comes up today?
Well, I think they're gonna continue to move forward. I mean, I just got through watching the video of the suspect that was pulled over, and he's odd to me. I don't know if he has any part of this, but he's definitely odd. His behavior and his reaction was odd. We've seen people in the past where they were detained and questioned, and then they were released because either they didn't have the evidence or they wanted to follow them and see who they contacted and what they were going to do next. That's always a possibility because, yeah, we have HRT there, but I'm almost positive that we probably have surveillance teams similar to the ones that, followed Brian Kohlberger. I was a part of one of those surveillance teams. You could be followed by upwards of 10 or more cars, and you would never know, in a helicopter or airplane 10,000 feet. So when they put somebody under the radar, they are on them. So those people could be there as well. So I'm not clearing this person completely, no matter what they say. I'm sitting here watching what's going on. But I think you're going to continue to see operations because as it leads to this video. This video is very important, and as you all were talking, there's probably other video, because as is striking to me, and I think is a sub-story to this, apparently these cameras record and that information is held by Google. So if that's the case, then that means anytime anything alerts on those cameras, whether it's subscribed to or not, it's recording, and that recording is being processed and held. Now, that's alarming for a lot of people, but that means that there's probably other footage there. And if these people alerted any other cameras, then now the FBI is able to turn around and say, hey, Google, you gave us this. Why don't you work with us with this other camera footage?
Yeah, Jonathan, I picked up on that too. Alarming in many other scenarios, but in this one, it may be the very detail that could crack this case. And finally, just one follow-up on something you said about the elite hostage rescue team. Do you believe that their deployment to Tucson right now, does that indicate to you that the FBI believes that we are coming to a final chapter and maybe they're closing in on a suspect and maybe they even know, they have an idea of where Nancy Guthrie is being held hostage?
Well, one thing about the hostage rescue team is that they can move multiple places very quick. So if they believe that Nancy Guthrie is being held hostage, then that is a potentially a reason why they brought them here. So if they get intel that says, we believe she was moved to this location, then they can react very quickly and even quicker than what you saw today. Where I'm talking within minutes, they can be in another location raiding a house. So I believe that the HRT brings an incredible capacity of talent and assets to bear. So that's probably, from what I can gather, one of the reasons that they're there, because we're looking at somebody who potentially is a hostage. And if she's being held hostage by people who are this dangerous, these aren't moral criminals, then they have to act fast if information comes in.
Jonathan Gilliam, as always, thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.